Ladies and gentlemen, beneath this calm exterior lies a beating heart of a raging bull right now. I've got issues with Facebook. I've got issues with people and things and places. My goodness. But it's not me that wants to talk about rage. It's Chris.
I'll happily talk about rage with you, Gareth.
Well, you just set me off. Why are you wondering about how you deal with rage? Because you always have a laughing, joking, calm exterior, coping with all of life's slings and arrows.
I try, but it seems like at every turn something's just designed to piss me off, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I keep getting.
Can I ask you to give us a short list?
Eye?
Can you give me a short list of what's pissing you off at the moment?
Technical challenges, some commercial relationships, just juggling aspects of things. It's like, well, how I'm trying to keep the lid on it. There are different mantras and different schools of thinking, aren't there? You should do deep breaths, you should go and meditate, you should do things to relax.
Break stuff.
All of these aspects.
I go and break stuff. I've got an old television that's down the end, an old plasma television, and a baseball bat, and I'm waiting till we finish here today so I can go down and have one marry itself clumsily with the other.
See, that sounds more fun. That sounds more productive. I'm genuinely interested to know what people do to keep calm, to keep a lid on things, or even to vent. How do you actually deal with people who enrage you to the point that you just want to take your phone and throw it at the wall, a brick, throw it through your neighbor's car? You tell me. I'm curious. I really would like to know.
All right. Well, I've been considering shallow graves for a couple of people. And probably Facebook internal settings and some of its lack of communication and the fact that people say one thing when they mean often the exact opposite. Well, that may be my autism, because I can be a bit of a literalist, and I don't realize that what they're doing is they're talking in pure irony or maybe sarcasm and saying the exact opposite of what they really want to happen. And then when I follow that meter, I find out I've done the exact opposite of what they wanted to happen. And that's like me saying, yeah.
I genuinely think it's people gaslighting.
Might be.
I think people. I generally give people too much credence sometimes. I think people do know what they're doing.
You do think they know what they're doing? I think
so.
I'm going to be controversial here. I think I think perhaps you're giving them too much credit.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm getting that wrong then. Maybe they are just stupid.
I honestly, right from the friend of ours who said to us, every time I say this to my husband, he gets really angry. And so my wife said, so why do you say it? He said, because I think it needs to be said. And I said, could you not find another way? No, I'll only say it that way. And I said, well, then he gets angry, right? So stupid.
There's definitely no reflection in that conversation.
No, it's just lack of self-awareness. It was driving me nuts. And all the way into business, of when you've got a potential client who says they want this and they want this and they want this, and I say, fine, we can probably help you with some of that, and they say that's great. So when can you start? And I said, well, we're kind of a bit maxed out at the moment, so we can't really start till the beginning of the month. And they said, that's fine. And then a week later, I get a message from them saying, so have you started yet? A, you haven't paid me, and B, we don't start till the beginning of the month. Maybe I'm just not making myself clear. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, it seems pretty clear in what you're saying. I seem to be having the same conversations over and over and over again with people.
Right.
I'm not sure what's not sinking in, or whether I'm not
Are they
saying it the right
complicated?
way, or
Is it a complicated thing which could be misunderstood and taken in various different ways?
I don't think so. But that's me. Maybe that's from it's a difficult one to say when it's coming from a position of knowledge that you understand something and you're trying to. If it's a complex topic, then yeah, I suppose it could be misunderstood quite easily.
Well, I think a lot of people think. You see, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to start, instead of giving advice, I'm going to say, you do this and it worked. Don't do this, and I wash my hands of it. Which sounds dramatic, but it's kind of like, almost like, I'm giving you an order now. You're going to do this. So it's not a choice thing that you can do a little bit of it and not that bit over there. It all needs to be done. Sorry, I sound such an arse. Sorry about that.
Me too. Maybe it's not the best of topics to start on, hey?
Well, I don't know. I think we needed to vent. I think both of us needed to vent on our joint in several ways.
I have a genuine curiosity to know how other people deal with being enraged and how they, I guess, get through the moment initially, and then continue to want to proceed to have a relationship with someone beyond.
I've learned how to deal with it to a certain extent, and there are twofold. One is you've got to understand that sometimes people will just be pig-headed and stick to the point, come hell or high water, because they started there and they're damn well going to finish there. So leave them alone and come back to it at a different time, and you may get a slightly different answer. That's the one thing. And the second thing is, some people say things for bravado's sake. So when you catch them and they're feeling a bit more circumspect, they may well recant on what they said once they've had a chance to see the truth of it. That's another thing. And then the third thing is that you've got to like people for the sum of their parts. Otherwise, you end up hating most people, because everybody slips up at some point about something, big or small. They do. How should I put this? I'm an old Jew, and I've got a roofer that I use from time to time, who is one of the best, most capable roofers I've ever come across, with a superb work ethic. That once he gets on there, he has to get the work done, and it has to be done right. Superb. Mm-hmm. But he's a little bit anti-Semitic.
A little bit.
A little bit. So I've basically said to him, you know who I am. We get along. Let's not have that conversation, because it'll end up with me not wanting to work with you. And he's agreed to do that. So you've got to like people for the sum of their parts. He is absolutely resplendent when it comes to roof tiles, and as it happens recently, refitting my entire solar. I've got like 12 panels. So that's a lot of faffing around, because they'd been put on. They drilled them straight into the tiles. The screws hadn't gone so far as to hit the actual rafters. So it was just a stiff breeze, and the whole lot would have come down. Great. Anyway, so he's done it properly, and it looks really good. But I know to steer all conversation of that, not to talk politics, that's the thing. You just got to realize that humans have boundary lines, and that to talk within the boundaries, it's very irritating at times, because I'm not one for putting boundary lines on, but I think you have to realize that they are there. Otherwise, you'll end up not wanting to work with anyone, because all of them have got faults or issues.
I'm struggling to work even within the boundary lines on some occasion.
Okay, I was trying to make it easier.
Yeah, and your reaper sounds like a git, but
very capable. Very capable. Look, how many roofers do you know that you could throw at something like that and then just get it done and it's right first time?
That is what you want out of a roofer. Yes, the political and religious.
So keep away from the political stuff.
Ideologies aside. Tough one. Yeah. Sorry about that, Gareth.
No. I mean, But the truth of the matter is this. I mean, he's a great character as well. He's a lovely man in all other respects. All other respects. I even would call him friend. I would absolutely call him friend. And he's a good DJ too. It's just you've got to see people as a sum of the parts.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being too harsh on some of the situations.
That was the last thing I was going to say. You need to lower your expectations.
It just kind of gone full circle to understanding what people do to manage their rage, their temper, how they quell themselves, how they keep calm. Because some people seem to manage it. They seem to do it effortlessly.
Well, I think it's channeling, isn't it? I mean, I don't have that much rage. I mean, recently I would say that's not the case. But it avoids it spilling over into other things. We have a large plot at the back of which is a place where our sweet next door neighbour has sought to dump a couple of things. I suspect they are temporary. So I've got a bunch of plastic bags. Going to put that all over the floor, put that on it, and then I'm going to hit it with a baseball bat. And I'm quite serious. I think that may relieve a lot of tension. Maybe Exercise is good. Maybe you should go for a walk.
I try and walk every day. And I've started exercising as well.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to go over the top, All right. But does that, when you're doing all the muscle building and all that nonsense,
is that how you do it?
That's exactly how I do it. Precisely. Wave your arms meaningfully in the air. While you're in that, doesn't that help you cope with the inner fires?
In the moment, yes. I think my problem is dealing with the challenges in the moment at that point, and that's why I'm very keen to understand what others are doing and how they're keeping a lid on their explosive ways, I guess.
Well, I think it's hard at the moment, especially with the weather getting warmer and all the rest of it, because I think that always ramps things up a little bit, especially when it gets very hot, which we're not very hot at the moment, but if it does, especially if it's high humidity and it's warm. So if you've got the perfect temperature for, in the UK at least, for lids to pop, it's got to be between 25 and 30 degrees and high humidity.
Yes, no one wants that.
No, which is amazing because my opposite number in Indonesia, Anggara, says that when it gets to 29 degrees, he puts a pullover on. But anyway, moving beyond. I know they have 36 at the moment. He says that's a little bit toasty.
Okay.
I couldn't possibly cope with that sort of thing. The other thing is, pointlessly talking about the weather often relieves pressure.
Yes, it does.
And British people do that an awful lot. I don't know if it's because we've got a lot of variable amounts of the stuff, but I believe it helps. And another thing, I think journaling. I've read writing it down and getting it all out, whether or not you publish or not. Although I suspect publishing is a good idea.
I have heard that from my mother-in-law. That she said, "Write it down. Don't send the letter. Throw it away."
But yeah, you could be as lurid as you like. Of course, I remember a couple of times where I did that, thinking I'll just write that email in draft. Then I hit send, it was perhaps a mistake, but I felt better for the brief period until the phone call went. I think if we're going to summarize, you must find a way of lifting the lid a little bit to let some steam out, whether that's through physical exertions, in my case, hitting a large old plasma television, in your case, working out in the gym and walking every day, and perhaps a little bit of segmentation, seeing people as the sum of the parts. They may be a terrible timekeeper, and that may be the most irritating thing in the world. But if you balance that with the fact that they can, I don't know what it is, they can cook like a demon, or they can plaster like the best amongst them, or they're a brilliant bricklayer, or whatever it is, may make you able to forgive them their inadequacies.
Sage advice. Thank you, Gareth. I'll take it on board.
What are your thoughts? I mean, have I helped anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely helpful. It's like I asked at the start, it's interesting listening to what other people are doing and how they're doing it in terms of bearing.
Guys, if you found this amusing, why don't you write comments on the stream? Let's hear about how you deal with rage you've developed. I would say let's focus work-related rage. There's either people letting you down, or perhaps gaslighting you, or expectations being set and then dashed onto the rocks of despair. How do you cope? How do you cope without, shovels, plastic sheets, and a shallow grave? There has to be a way. Otherwise, how do you continue? And because Chris and I both do our respective work, not just for the making of the money, but because we actually enjoy what we do, to maintain that enjoyment, you've got to minimize your negative reactions. Otherwise, you're always going to be in deficit, aren't you? You're always going to be fighting that, what the hell am I doing this? I could be outside having a walk. Chris, once again, always a pleasure to talk to you. Mostly our topics tend to be properly related, but Chris came at me with rage, so rage it was. And I've got plenty to share from this week. Facebook. Ooh. Until the next time we meet, thank you once again. Remember, keep your feet on the ground, but keep reaching for the stars and look after that mental health. Goodbye now.